Okay, everyone. So without further ado, here's the one, the only. You hear us talk about her all the time. But Cari Rose, our light coach.
Yay!
Oh my
Cari,
this is
gosh.
exciting. I never thought I'd
This
see you
is,
right here in our podcast room.
I know, this is so exciting. Thank you guys.
Oh, I love it. I actually feel like we're almost in a session, but now we have like our podcast gear
That's what
on.
it
I know.
feels
When we
like.
yeah, it totally feels like
Just
that. I
not
know.
not in pajamas or in bed or.
No, exactly. Always in pajamas and in bed. Yeah. Well, and I feel like you're either hearing Penelope and Winston or my kids are coming in. So
Yes.
it's
A
actually,
lot different.
yeah, a lot different
I
here.
know. We should start to come here for them.
Right. Quiet. Well, Cari, we are so excited that all of our listeners get to go on this 4-week journey with all three of us.
Yeah.
Nikki and I, we always talk about you. And I feel like we hear constantly people come up to us and they're like, we can really tell you're doing the work. We've seen growth. We've seen a shift and change. And, Nicole and I always thank you. We always are telling everyone about
Mm,
you and how much you've guided us and just the importance you've been in our lives. And we thought it'd be so fun this episode to really start off how we start sessions off with you. And
yeah.
also our first sessions we ever did with you to kind of give the backstory and go in detail because I don't think we ever have. I mean, it gives me goosebumps just thinking of our first session. So
Oh,
we thought it'd be really fun. And I say we kick it off by doing what Cari does all the time when we start our session.
I know.
Yes.
It's so hard to be the main talker in this because we always are listening to Cari.
I know, right?
Cari, it's like I just want to like hear her talk. But yeah, I sit right.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. Yes. And so, yeah, it's amazing. We can start with how we start our sessions. And for anyone listening or watching, just following along and doing this themselves, it's a beautiful process for us to do all the time. So we'll ground and get centered and open up our energy. So just closing your eyes and taking some deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just tuning in to your body, noticing what's present, what's in the here and now, letting go of any worries about the past or the future, just coming into the present moment. Feeling where you are being supported by the chair beneath you, by the floor beneath you. Just feeling that support. And taking some more deep breaths and just moving into your heart space, opening up your heart space. And now just opening up your energy as we just open up to that connection with our higher self, with our guides, with our guidance system, with our intuition, and just allowing us to simply be conduit for whatever information wants to come through today, or whatever wants to be shared. And taking a couple more deep breaths and just feeling the shift already in that moment in these few minutes. And taking a breath and slowly, slowly coming back into the space. First, letting your eyes fall upon something other than the screen, and then gently coming back. What are you most afraid to feel?
I think I'm most afraid to I think of what people think because I feel like I'm still in this point of everyone at times looks at who I was before mom. And like since having Mateo, I'm different. And when I'm here, I'm like very confident. Like when I don't have to, I think, look in the mirror or have the world judge me naked, I feel great. I'm my healthiest I've ever been. I feel good, except for like some wrestling injuries. But like overall,
Mhm.
I'm like happy and healthy. I always tell Brie, I go, I wish I could actually walk around naked because when I wake up in the morning, I feel really good about myself. It's until I put my clothes on and like going about my day and I'm like, oh my gosh, you look so different. But then I just think too,
Mm,
people think I'm still this jacked wrestler who was like super ripped, and I'm just not her anymore. So people are you, huh? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, because we all see you and you look beautiful and we've
Yeah.
seen you change.
Yeah.
And I get it. I had to go through it with Birdie and so far gone from it now that I'm happy with where I'm at, who I like, what I look like. But yeah, I
Well, I think, Brie, okay, I'll be kinder to myself. We need to dive in with Cari from the very beginning because I brought Cari into your life.
yes, you did.
And Cari, someone referred you to me because I was in a bad
Mm-hmm.
place in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was going through, which, we could talk about it. I wasn't going through a breakup yet, but I was confused about the decision
Yes.
I wanted to make. And that
Yeah.
was when we first met.
Yes. Yes. When you first came to me, it was, I don't know. I'm so confused. And, you were in a very public relationship with public engagement. There was a lot on the line. There were so many people watching,
Yes.
literally, with the reality show. So much was happening. And you were confused. And that confusion was causing anxiety and causing so much stress in your body, in your life. And so when we started, it was about cutting through that clutter and confusion and getting clear on what it
Yeah.
was that you truly wanted and then getting clear on that decision. And it obviously was really a hard, big public decision, but I remember very clearly how clear you were able to get by just listening, getting still, like we did in the beginning, getting still, tuning in to what's my body saying, what's my energy saying, what's the truth underneath all of this, what do I truly desire? And when you got really clear on that, that became your compass, that became your North Star. And then when we have that, it's such a gift because then it doesn't, we can, the outside world and the noise and everything that's coming at us, we can move through if we know that that's our truth.
Yes.
And that was such a huge, yeah.
Huge. I mean, you were definitely the one who started to teach me to listen to my intuition and trust my gut. And you helped me get so clear. I'll never forget when I left that breath work class that you referred me to in Del Mar. And I felt like I was seeing a brand new world and that feeling. But then our classes every week and I would remember at times I'd still come to you and be like, I don't know. Like, like
Mm-hmm.
I would at times come like so confused because in the real world, it's like, I wish I had just Cari with me 24/7.
I know.
I'm like, I need her. Oh my goodness. Um, but
But then we'd have that space, right? We'd have that
right.
space to get still and listen. And you always know. You
Yeah.
always know. And it's one of those things that when we look back on our lives, we can find specific times when we've gone against our intuition
Yeah.
or we've done something and it hasn't worked out. And every time we say, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. And what you were about to move into during that time of your life was going to be one of those situations where something wasn't feeling right. There was a
Right.
niggle, there was something saying, I don't know. And when you got in any decision along the way, it's when we get really still. And I've seen you guys do this so many times now, and your intuition is so clear and so spot on.
Yeah.
And you either say no, and it's such a relief because it was such a no once you realize you're on the other side of it, or yes, because it's a hell yes. It's a full body yes, right? And yeah, and I saw you begin to tune into that very quickly or come back to that. It's coming,
Yeah.
it's returning. It's always a returning to that place. And whether it's someone holding space for it or you by yourself, it's just a returning to that space and hearing yourself.
Yeah. It's so true because one thing that when I look back on what I've learned and what I've taken with me is that I feel like sometimes when we have really difficult moments or like decisions to make in life, whether it's in a relationship or in business, we start to have all these excuses of like what we want to tell people why this doesn't work, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. When I look back and I would have those when I just was like, no, like this is like, it just doesn't feel right. And this is my intuition and gut. And even with that person, I wish, and I've learned this, like not to even give them all the excuses, just to be like, I know in my heart this isn't right. And
Yeah.
one day you will thank me for this. And that's like one thing I've learned so
Right.
much.
And me too,
Yeah.
because you really helped me, Cari, when you talk about intuition. Is I always felt like if someone was more educated than me, my intuition had to be wrong because I wasn't as
Mm,
smart as them or
Or
didn't have the
articulate.
degree they
Yeah.
had or the money they had. So I always assumed then I'm the dummy. I must be wrong. When no, it's like I was right for myself, for my truth, for my journey on this earth. And you really taught me that because I always fell into that. Like, well, they have to be right. So,
yeah. And what's in alignment for you, right? And it might be different than what's in alignment for other people. And so not allowing what's coming in from the outside telling you what you should do to impact what you're hearing on the inside, because that's the voice, that's your guidance, that's what I call your inner guidance system, your IGS. It's your GPS for this life. It's telling you all the time which way to turn. And I always say it comes through in a whisper, or you can wait for the scream, but one way or another it's going to keep getting louder and until you follow it. And sometimes
yeah.
it's when you're way off your path and you need to go back, or sometimes you hear it right away and you follow it. And Brie, you've learned so many times over how you were right every time.
Right.
Every
Yeah.
time. It had nothing, it wasn't about education. It wasn't about any of that. It was you knew. It was that inner
Mm-hmm.
knowing. You knew.
And in those moments too, Brie, what we both learned, because Carrie's helped us so much with business, but in personal life and business, not to be victims. Like I
Yes.
was like, I would tell Brie, I like how Carrie gets stern with us and like doesn't let us be martyrs. Would that be the word, right? Martyrs, or I don't know,
Mhm.
victims, I guess. And be like, poor us. Like, why us? Like, always feeling that way. And you were that person who was like, you are not a victim. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's so true. Like, I didn't even do that
Yeah.
with myself.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to reflect, and I know we'll go Bree into your story too of how you came to me, but I just want to reflect just on that point and everything, just how amazing it is as a coach to have been witness to your journeys and how far you've come in your transformation and growth. And I always say life is the real coach. Life is always apprenticing us, right, on what where we need to grow, how we need to grow. I just got to be like this facilitator, this kind of guide on the side of like of helping you really uncover what was already there and what your soul's path was, what your soul came here to do. And it's been so beautiful to see how far you guys have come and your growth and yeah, just this journey you've been on. And for us now, how incredible is it to be able to kind of stand up from a higher ground and look back and go, wow.
For me, when I look in the mirror and I see that and I give myself love and hold it, it's like that gave Mateo life. And that has been a hardworking mom the past 2.5 years that is in the entertainment industry, but is hands-on, who doesn't have a full-time nanny, who does it all on her own. And also has had a tough journey with Mateo the past year where like I have sacrificed workout to make sure I've taken him to the best specialists and doctors. And I
Mm.
think that's what makes me love it. And then I just feel like I'm in such a world that doesn't feel that yet about moms or what we sacrifice, or I don't proclaim it on social. I'm just not that type. And so I feel,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. And I'd question, and this is the work we do too, I'd question the thought that the world isn't ready for that, or that the world isn't, because I think
true.
the world is. And I think there's so many out here that need that example too of, you know, I have this fear, even talking about the fear, right? That is so relatable of I don't have the same body that I used to have. And and man, that's been hard. That's been hard. Be real, right? That's been hard. And I was
Right.
afraid of what that would mean. And now I'm free.
Yeah.
I'm free. I'm moving to that point of being free.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm proud of what this body has done. And sometimes it's going to be in better shape, and sometimes I'm going to be spending a week with my Nana, and maybe that's when I have to do my bikini photo shoot. And you know what? That's life. And we're all in this together, and we're all having those moments. And, I once heard Oprah speak in a really small space, and it was beautiful. And she was talking about how no matter how big or beautiful or amazing or successful or powerful the star was, at the end of every interview or whatever it was that they did, they would say, how was I? How'd I do? Did I do okay? Right? We're all human. Like, we're all feeling the same things.
Right.
And so hearing it within yourself, you just heard Brie talk about her experience, and it made you reflect on where you are now. For your listeners, hearing you move through this, and we'll keep moving through it. We'll go deeper into it. But is going to free them and go, whoa, I feel that way too.
Yeah.
I feel that way too.
That's almost like what this cover is. It's like freedom for me. It's like the angels just put it right in to be like, now we're going to make you feel
complete freedom. Yes.
We're going to make you accept it,
Yes, we talk about this a lot. That divine orchestration, there are no accidents. So the fact that this happened in this order means it was supposed to happen in this order for your growth, for your expansion, for your next step of your transformation, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Makes me want to cry.
Just cry. It feels good sometimes.
You can cry.
I
know. And let yourself, like, that's, we hold so much space for this, in our sessions, of just letting the emotion come up. Because, what we just did even there was just naming that part of you that's tender. And then we got to give it space to really feel. It's the feel it to heal it, feel it to free it. We need to feel it. And, they've done neuroscience experiments on the brain where they monitored the brain, and it actually only takes 90 seconds to feel a difficult emotion, for a difficult emotion to move through us. Anything beyond that 90 seconds is our minds or our thoughts looping and engaging with it and indulging it and creating and adding on to it, right? And to keep it going and keep it alive. So once we get to the core of the emotion and we can actually feel it, you'll be surprised at how quickly you can move through it if we get out of the stories that our mind's telling us about it. Or we get out of, like we were saying, what this means about the future, or replaying what happened in the past. Right. And wishing, like, oh, if I just would have done that, or if I just would have done this, or, oh my gosh, what's going to happen without this person in my life, or how life is going to look like this, and it's going to be terrible, right? The things that our minds tell us, because our sweet, precious, innocent minds, that's their job. It's its job. It's to, like, kind of look out for us and go, what's the worst case scenario? What should I have done different so I can learn the lesson? But if we become the awareness that's holding that space for the mind and going, okay, it's okay, sweetie. I love you, and you're so important. And we don't have to stay in that loop. And here, let's look at the lesson here, what we want to do differently next time, letting go of judgment for the past, and let's stop projecting or envisioning the worst case scenario in the future, and let's just be here now. And we can be free and safe. And once we feel that emotion and let it move through us, we feel a freedom. And you guys know, because we've done a lot of this work, where you get into the essence, that essence of who you are. And it's like, whoa, I was just feeling so much pain. And now freedom's the best way to describe it, but it's the essence of who you are. It's that love. It's that energetic feeling of just lightness that you can feel if we get out of the stories of our mind.
Yeah. And that lightness. Wow. It feels so good.
Feels good
when you make yourself light, when you get rid of all that heaviness.
And it feels good when you learn how to love yourself, because no one can love you stronger than that and more than that. And that's what, when I went into that depression and started with you, it's what I learned. I learned to love myself. And after that, nothing else mattered. Yeah. And it was incredible. And I felt the freedom, which was really nice. And then also kind of felt that awakening where I was like, okay, I need a little clarity in my life and on my journey because it's all feeling a little fuzzy right now. And that's what I loved so much you helped me do. And to go into your journey with more clarity, with the freedom, loving yourself, you feel unstoppable.
Today, we're going to be talking about getting out of victim. And I want to make sure that I preface this with sometimes we actually are a victim to something, right? Sometimes things happen, trauma happens, death happens too. We're not discounting any of this. And those things are not your fault or in your control, right? Trauma is something we need to move through, we need to process, never bypass, right? And so I really want to preface that with this is not what we're not talking about. You have been victim to something that's very present in your life right now. What we're talking about in this is when we get stuck in the victim mindset and victim consciousness. And so we're going to be diving into that today. And so that is when we are just moving through life as a victim. And I think it'd be really great actually to start with Brie, even when you first came to me and we were just first starting this work together, what was happening for you? And then we'll kind of use that as a thread as we go through this process.
Yeah. Well, what I was going through is I go back and I look at it now and I see it and I say this now, not knowing when I was in it, right? But I was definitely going where I felt like I was the black sheep pinpointed by every single person, like the only person who felt this at work, but that it was like everyone was against me, poor me. I didn't do anything wrong. I made a human mistake. Accidents happened, but everyone was against me. I mean, I actually kind of, in my mind, felt the world was like, not just my, coworkers, not just the higher ups, not to even the fans, to everyone. I felt the world was against me. So I very much felt like a victim. I felt like it wasn't fair. So when I look back, I just let all those emotions come in and I felt so bad for me.
Yes, poor me. Yes.
Poor me.
Yes. And there were these themes, right, that happened also with Nicole with work and with feeling victimized or feeling like poor me, I can never get a break, I can never get ahead, they are doing this to me, they're keeping me suppressed, they're keeping me down, whatever those thought processes were, right? So what I want you guys in the audience to start with, if you have a pen and you can draw this or visualize this, what I want you to draw or visualize is a triangle pointing down. So the point goes down of the triangle. And that bottom point of the triangle is, you label that victim. And this triangle is what's called the dreaded drama dynamic. And this is, I want to give credit to Stephen Karpman, Dr. Stephen Karpman, who came up with this whole dynamic, the drama dynamic. And so that bottom point is victim. And this is what you're talking about, Brie. This is the poor me. There's nothing I can do about my situation. I have no control over what's happening to me. And you may hear others or yourself, if you're in this mindset, complaining a lot, venting a lot, saying nothing can be done, repeating the same behaviors and never actually changing. It just becomes their narrative and the way they frame their story and sometimes their life. And and so then if we look at the top left corner of that triangle, that top left point of that triangle, we label that the persecutor. This is the person or situation or job that you feel is controlling you, hurting you, and sometimes they might be. I'm not saying this might not be true, but this is when we're in victim mindset. They are to blame for everything, and poor me. And so this can be whether you're in a relationship with someone or, like I said, a company, a job, right? And then we move into the other point. So on the top right point, we label that the rescuer. So the rescuer
is that person we go to, that thing we go to rescue us. So as a victim, we're looking to be saved. We're looking for something outside of us to save us, to fix us, right? And so we are, when we're, that person we're complaining to, many times in this dynamic, we will have rescuers, or also they can be called enablers in our life, that will say, let me help you, let me save you, I've got you, don't worry. Oh, and really, we've all played rescue. Like we've probably all played rescue. We've probably all played rescuer quite a bit in our lives.
Oh, for
and we want to help people because we want to help people, but there is actually a payoff for us of, we get to be the hero, we get to be that person that saves the day, we get a payoff for, and we also don't realize this, but we're keeping whoever it is that we're saving in the victim role, because we're not saying to them, you can help yourself. We're saying to them, oh, I'll help you, I got you, right? Yeah. And what is so fascinating about this dynamic is that we just keep switching roles with each other. And so even talking about that rescuer of, I've got you, do this, do that. I realized I was in this with a family member once, where they were going through the same thing in their relationship over and over. And every time they would come to me and vent, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, you poor thing. And yes, he's so terrible. And here's what you've got to do. You've got to say this and do this. And we've got you, we've got this. And then it would just repeat and repeat and repeat, right? A couple months later, same story, same thing. And I finally woke up. This is after doing this work for a long time. I woke up to the fact that, whoa, because I've been in this dynamic with this family member my whole life, I didn't realize I was in it. But what would happen is I would say the same thing over and over and nothing would change. And then I would get really angry at them. I would start to get resentful, like, gosh, how many times are we going to go through this? And and then when you look at it that way, then I became the persecutor and she became the victim, right? And we started to switch roles. And then I became the victim because, oh, she's always complaining, always talking about the same thing over and over and over, right? So then we just keep switching roles. Have you guys seen that in your lives?
Oh,
yeah.
I've seen it in personal and business, like so many different places in my life.
Sometimes, Brie, that's even you and I, right?
Sure.
Like we are that triangle, just shifting position.
I've been a victim. You've been a prosecutor. Then yes, rescuer. We've been all of them to each other.
And so when you start thinking about it with this new perspective, this new orientation to life, things that happen, they're still going to happen. We're still going to have struggles. We're still going to have setbacks. We're still going to have things that come up in our life that are not good, right? That doesn't change, but how we respond to them and how we relate to them and how we move through them changes. So now we're no longer looking at it as someone or something that's persecuting us. They become growth opportunities. What is this teaching me? Because the truth is, we are here, we're in Earth School. Everything that comes our way is like a lesson, and for us to graduate to the next level. So everything that's happening, why is this showing up for me? Right? What is the lesson in this? What's my growth in this? What's my transformation in this? And that doesn't mean that we want to keep those people or those things always in our lives that are true persecutors, but we're framing it completely differently as we're moving through it. Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. So true.
Yes. And so now we go into, if we're now the creator, we're not looking to be rescued anymore. So we're not looking for someone to rescue us. We're not looking for that rescuer in our life. And so the alternative for rescuer, actually in the book, he says coach, which I love because I'm a coach. So I love that. I'm like, let's go for that. But that makes sense, right? A coach, or your support system, or a mentor, right? And so instead of saying, how can I be saved? It's how can I be supported? It's very different, right? That's a very different feeling. How does that feel in your body? Just saying that.
I mean, it feels empowering, right?
Yeah.
It makes me feel stronger than weaker, which is
Yes.
like when I feel like I need someone to save me, I feel weak.
Right.
But then when I need someone to support me, I feel strong.
Yes. Yes.
And it takes you out from those times when you're feeling the victim. You can tend to feel alone. But when you hear that, like you feel like not only are you stronger, but you're not alone.
Yes.
Like I have this support group, I have this system in place that I know no matter what, I'm going to be okay. And if not, and the best thing is I'm going to come out of it even better.
Yes.
Instead of when you're
Right.
in that victim space, it's like, I'm alone. I'm the only one going through this.
Yes.
No one understands me.
Yes.
Yeah, that was like, wow.
Yeah. And I've seen you ladies do this with each other. I've seen you ladies move into the role of supporting each other rather than saving or enabling, right? Or
Right.
just agreeing with, yeah, I know it's so awful. They're so bad. Like actually shifting it and going, well, how can I support you to create what you want out of this? And that's what it sounds like when we move also, because a lot of us as women are rescuers. And when we move out of how can I save her? How can I help her? How can I fix her? To how can I support you?
And Carrie, because we've been talking about like the one situation with me, and when you had me draw out these triangles, and when I started to see it, and when I realized, whoa, I'm the creator, it was it all of a sudden became so clear to me that my challenger gave me the fire inside to keep going. So that person who made me feel like a victim, instead, I was like, no, actually, you're my challenger, and you put the fire inside of me to keep wanting to break more barriers, to keep going, to keep being great. And it was so interesting how drawing triangles and seeing these words shifted how I looked at not only the situation I was in, feeling bad for myself and being so depressed. It took it all away. And I was like, wait a
Yes.
second. This is
Yes.
actually not a negative. This is a positive.
Yes.
And everyone's talking about me and all this because of all the stuff I am doing and what my name is. And so it was so weird, these triangles. And that's why everyone listening right now, when I say have your journals and your pens, write this down. Even if you need to keep listening to this 5, 10, 20 times, these triangles changed everything for me in my
Oh,
in
yeah.
personal, in business, in my entertainment career, like everything. And and it was crazy how then I started to look at life and I looked at everything. And I see a lot of people write about on social media their families, like a lot of family issues, even this triangle with my family.
Oh, yeah.
Like it has changed my life.
It is crazy when you get into that creator mindset, how life changing it is and how much lighter you are. Because even, my situation when I would come to Cari and certain things that I would vent to Cari constantly about, I didn't realize that I was being a victim. And I was being all these different things on the triangle, rescuer, but victim was the main. And I didn't realize that because I was in the poor me, but like I'm delivering and I'm doing all these great things. But in my mindset, it's like, and they're just bringing me down. They're not, and when you made me realize what I was being and to get to that creator spot, and it was crazy because the minute I used these tools and I had the creator mindset, I stepped out and I looked at everything so differently. Okay, I'm given this ramp to walk down once or twice a week on live TV. I'm given these incredible opponents. I have this incredible platform. I have this reality show. And instead of having people hold me down in my mind, I'm now going to create and use this to break barriers, to empower women even more. Like Brie said, it gave me this fire, but it was crazy when I looked at it different. I walked into work different. I felt like I walked in and people were like, whoa, she's a force to be reckoned with. Like everything changed about me and more success came, more positivity, more empowerment, more inspiration, more motivation, and just how I felt as a person. But it was life-changing. And the work was the same. I still walked into the same building.
Yes.
I still was surrounded by the same stuff.
And the
But
people
it
were
felt
still
so
the same too.
different.
It's not like the people
The
changed.
people were still the same.
Yes.
But I'm like, how is this
This
so
is
different?
so-
This is like,
Yes.
you
It
know?
is so important that you're
was-
saying that because I think we may have mentioned this on the last episode too, but nothing had to change around you. Nothing had to change around you in order for you to feel this huge shift. And in order for you to come into your strength and your power and your peace and your full capability and potential, nothing had to change.
That's so
And
true.
ironically, what happens
So true.
is when we start moving through life this way, things do start to naturally change. What's not for you will fall away. What is in alignment with you or what is for you will come in. And we're in, and this is where we start to get into manifestation, right? Because we're in a new vibration. We're in this expanded perspective of life. It up levels our frequency, and then we start attracting that. And so the victim triangle, the drama dynamic, is also called life is happening to me. It's the to me consciousness, right? Everything's happening to me. And when we move into the empowerment dynamic, into the creator triangle, that is life is happening by me and for me. And so these are two levels of consciousness that we are moving from and into. And by the way, we do keep finding little subtle ways that we get stuck in it still, always, right?
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
And,
For sure.
and that's okay. It's just we now are coming from it from this expanded perspective, and we can catch it sooner and move out of it quicker.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, Cari, because when Brie and I are on our power walks and like, we'll think this is a business meeting, and then we realize, no, this is totally a venting session, and we'll just be like going off, and then we're like, wait, no, we don't want that energy here. And now we'll like stop ourselves, but we'll get a good like 30, 45 minutes of venting in.
No, not that
And then
much.
we're like, wait, well, maybe not that much, but that was exaggerated. But we now stop ourselves, and we're like, oh my gosh, we're bringing this energy here. Like, why are we doing this? You can't do that. But you'll still vent, but the best thing is now that you're aware of it, it's like you can stop yourself and be like, okay, what am I doing?
And yes,
like,
and this is so big because I like to call it reframe and rephrase. All of these things are important, and all of these things are important as creators to really start doing for ourselves, because it is our responsibility also to take care of ourselves.
Yes. I so agree, Cari.
And not be drained. I always like to look at it like a mug, a cup, right? And we're either giving from the overflow, so we're filling our own cup and giving from the overflow, which is such a beautiful way to give and such a beautiful way for others to receive from us, or we're trying to fill it up, but there's cracks on the bottom and everything's just leaking. It's just leaks, right? And we're just giving from the leaks, and we can never quite get our cup full. And so that's why it's so important that we really start to consciously become aware of what's working for us and what's not. It's that whole put your oxygen mask on first. And when we do, we can really be in so much more service to others and in our lives, and our light can really start to shine because we're protecting it. We're making sure it's bright and shiny and taken care of, right? And that's our responsibility. No one else's.
Yeah. Gosh, and amen to that.
Yeah. And what's even more exciting about this is there's 2 more levels we can keep going up from here. So, we'll get into those in some future episodes. But from this creator place, it's where we want to start manifesting and looking at what do we want to call into our lives? What do we want to consciously create? And it's this awareness of it, right, first. And then it's the action we start taking. And I've seen you guys really do that. And I actually like to call the creator on the top of that triangle co-creator, because I always believe that we are creating with the universe, even if it's with our own souls or our own intuition. It's a co-creation. When I think of it that way, it just feels so much different and more, and not alone. Right. And it's so supported and collaborating all the time with this energy. And I've seen you guys start to really truly take action, sometimes really difficult action, to move into what you're here to do.
Yep, we really have. And I'm so excited for the next episode, because that's when we're going to start to get into manifestation. And now that everyone knows these triangles, to take that next step. And like you said, now we're aware. Now it's time to co-create with whoever, Nikki and I are very big on universe and God and
Yes.
with our souls, everything. So we get to take you down how Nikki and I do that with Cari next week on the podcast, which is going to be so much fun. I do think it's more, I'm disappointed sometimes in like business because I sometimes feel, and this is where we're going to go deep, I feel taken advantage of sometimes in business. And I feel like because people look at me, like I don't have an education, like I don't have like a CEO label or, I'm the girl who used to wrestle, who was on reality television. That's who they look at. And I think that's where a lot of sometimes like where I get agitated, where I get those like negative feelings, like being agitated, a little angry. I realize it's a lot of times in business, being an entrepreneur, where I feel let down a lot, like a lot. I've been in 2 lawsuits over silly shit. And so I guess for me, it's like, that's the one that will make me when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning be like, damn. Really it's not entertainment. I mean, entertainment for me is, it's always been what it's been, but it's been fulfilling. And right now we're, Nicole and I, which I feel like another thing I'd love to manifest, but this will be a different time, is we have some shows that are pitched out that look really promising. But maybe I've been used to being disappointed on that end here and there. Like I don't know. We're business. It just feels like
You're
I can't
in
take
the
that
business
level.
There's more in it.
Like
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So this is great because you guys can hold a vision together through this process and let's get really clear with what that vision is. So this step 1 is this clarity, like tuning in, hearing what your intuition is driving you towards, right? And then getting really clear on the intention. So what is it that you desire? So Nicole, if you can expand, because I think it is the same, saying it in different ways, because on the way to worldwide global brand is a supplier that's in alignment, right? So all of this kind of aligns.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I truly want to be, I wish there was another word I could think of, but I can't, but I want to be like an ultimate boss bitch. Like I want to run it. Yeah. Because just like Brie's frustrations, I know that I'm very street smarts, but I'm also very business smart. And that's where people, they look at Brie and I, and they misinterpret us, or they have this perception of us because of being professional wrestlers and reality stars. And in fact, to make it in the wrestling industry and in the reality world, you have to have so much business smarts because we are pros at branding, we are pros at marketing, and we know how to work a live crowd, and we know how to engage an audience, not only live, but in TV land, to make them tune in and watch us. It's a full business and a brand in itself. And at the same time, the ones that get to our level, it's because we're the most authentic.
Right.
And know how to be organic. And to do all of that, that takes a lot of brains, a lot of smarts, a lot of confidence, and so many other things. So when we bring that into business, because we didn't graduate from the Harvards or other things, people automatically, and I'm going to be honest, and because we're women, people treat us completely different. And so I fall into this place where I don't feel like I'm heard, and I'll have these ideas and I'll say these things, and then years later, because I'll get shut down all the time, years later, they all get made. Now, where I try to put myself like, don't be a victim. You didn't put your money into it, but that's something that I don't want to put my money into things. So I feel like I never get to rise up because I'm not the money person, because I don't have that. And so I keep getting myself in this place of feeling used and taken advantage of, like Brie, or not getting to the growth that I know we're capable of, or our ideas are. But I'm like, do we really have to just put our money into it and be our own boss, or how do I get there?
Yeah. So this is really important because you're bringing us into step 2. Now, I still want a little I want clarity on what is it that we want. We want to get really clear on the vision first.
We want, I mean, if we're going to go down to one thing right now, we want Bonita to be worldwide and an empire.
Yeah, I guess Bonita is a global brand. But and this is, I love that we're doing this with our,
But.
I know, but I love that
Negative energy. Universe, do not hear, but please do not.
no,
And yes.
And.
I mean, if you can't, I mean, Carrie's taught us about how many
but
times?
Let me talk and I'll tell you why, because, and I think this is great for the listeners because manifestation, like you do want to make it like, you do want to hone into that one thing. Is it, and this is a spitballing. I love that everyone knows this is our daily walks, how we do this.
Yeah, this is, you guys are in it.
You're in.
This is the power walk. This is the Carrie session every week.
Yeah. Is it about the global brand or is it about really find a supplier? I don't see. This is where I'm getting torn right now. Like,
but this, so Carrie, how do we
me,
do this? Yeah.
The supplier to me is a support for the global brand, right?
Exactly.
It's
right.
on the way to that. So that's going to be one of the steps. And that's all, we're manifesting all of it, right? So,
yeah.
But let's get even more specific with it because that's an important point, Brie. I want Bonita, we want to see Bonita being a global brand that what is it about? What is the brand about? What is the company about? How does it feel as the boss bitches of this brand?
So for me, Brie,
and then I'll say my next.
it's about supplying to our Bonita Army worldwide what they've always wanted. Everyone has always wanted to taste our wine. And I want to bring satisfaction to palates in every part of the world, not just the United States of America. And also because we've built such a community that was known as the Bella Army and now the Bonita Army. Since we launched our wine brand 6 years ago, all we see from Asia to Australia to the UK to Europe, we just want to taste. We just want to taste all the way to Canada. And for a little bit, I think we were able to get some into Canada or no. Was that just Birdie Bee? And none of their palates have ever tried it unless they come here and they try to find us. And so more than anything, I just want everyone to be a part of the community that they've always gotten to be a part of. But the wine has always been the missing for them to be a part of that. And that's a big place to be a part of because they know how much it means to Brie and I because we live and breathe it and they know it's our life.
Yeah.
And I want them to be a part of that. I want to go to places around the world and sit with people and drink our wine and have these conversations.
Yeah, it's about community. It's about connection. It's about more than the wine.
Right.
It's
exactly. I mean, it's exactly.
But yeah, so getting it into the hands of these people all over the world that are asking for it, that want it. And so I love that. So beautiful. And then what about how it feels to run the company or how, Brie, I want to hear what's the manifestation around how it is on the internal side of running the company and running this big brand. So I want to, Bonita to be this global brand that gets into the hands of the Bonita Army around the world so that they can feel that connection to us, to each other, and everything that we've put into creating this. And
well, and I want it to feel like I don't have to gas up the truck. The gas is already in there. I feel like so many times I have to ask for the gas and I'll get told no. So I feel like then I have to walk. So I kind of want to be in the position, like in the company where it's like, I don't have to walk because.
Can I raise my hand?
Oh,
I mean, I'll high five. I don't mind walking at times.
Like, we have control, but more control. And I don't want to ask for things.
Can I add to that?
Yes, this is our sesh together.
I want to add in this manifestation is I want to find that person. Call him a GM, a CEO, or whatever would be beneath us. That person that comes into our life and is going to help us run this. Because I feel like you need to have that. Every great company has that strong president or whatever the name may be in that. And I feel operations, I don't know what it is.
Or something like that. That's running the show, that's seeing the big picture.
Yeah, that has the same values and morals as us and goes, I see your vision. I'm going to help you get there.
So who sits in the passenger seat of that truck?
I don't know. They could be the driver and we could be in the back like, yeah, let's go.
You guys could be the navigators.
I mean, that was the time when I wanted so badly to be an artist and a musician. I was told no constantly. And I had just this yearning, but I had zero control. So I wonder now if like sometimes when I get in certain situations where I'm feeling like I'm not doing what I love in the sense of like, because something's holding me back, I
Yeah.
start to get those feelings. I don't know, that just like popped in my head like that. I don't know, because that's interesting when you say you might go back to like revisit to like
Heal it.
hold and
It's
heal.
coming up for
heal
us
it.
to heal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when we talk about that soul line, goal line, these things that we're manifesting are coming up to bring up all the things that need to be healed. And so this is something, Brie, that's been with you for a long time, being told no to your dreams. And then feeling like you have to play small to fit in.
Yeah. I've never even thought about that. I'm almost going to be 40 and I've never even related those moments.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Wow.
For me, I immediately feel I trusted you, now I don't. That's like the feel where mine comes from. And so that's must be what I take in business is I'm kind, but the minute I feel like I'm being used or taken advantage of, go to, I trust you, now I don't. And now I'll have my wall just shoots straight up.
Okay. This is big. Wow. Okay. So there's this underlying story of my trust will be betrayed, or what if it's betrayed?
Yeah.
And if it is, if my trust is betrayed, you're out. Like, you're out. We're done. And then poor me, right? Because as a little girl, poor her, poor little Nicole, like, she needs that love, right? As an adult, though, it's different. We still need the love, but it's in a whole different way. It's tending to ourselves and not going, poor me, poor me, poor me. You used me, you abused me. That's we're back in victim, right?
Yeah.
It's actually what healing needs to be. What is this triggering in me that needs to be healed? Oh, it's that little Nicole that feels like her trust was broken. Oh,
yeah.
What does she need?
Right.
Right? And so staying here for a moment, I want you guys to see this younger part of you. And just close your eyes and hold her in your vision. Hold her in your mind's eye. And see her and all her light and whatever she's going through and how it's just being dimmed by whatever it is she's going through. And from your higher self, from your light, the light that you are today, the part of you who knows you're safe, you're resourced, and everything is possible, what words do you have for her?
Mine would be, it's all going to be okay. Other dreams are going to come alive. And it all ends really good.
Mine's, we're going to get through this, and in the end, we'll be better for it.
Yeah. 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 So take some deep breaths here. And we're just going to tell her a few more things. We're just going to meet her with love. So I've got you. I know what you're going through is hard, and we're going to move through this together. And just breathe into that place in your chest, just as a sensation. And just hold space for that part of you to move, to dissipate, to do whatever it needs to do in this moment. So feeling that contraction in the chest, that heaviness in the chest, while at the same time feeling the light that you are and tuning into the light that you are. That's so big. That's not just all of your body, but all of the energy around your body. It fills the whole room. And tuning into that light while holding space for this little girl, this wound, this part of you that just needs to be loved and seen and heard and know that she's safe. And what do you notice?
Feels so much lighter.
So much. I was just going to say that. So much lighter.
Yeah.
So much. It's like you feel like you get like given wings and you're like, oh.
Yeah. And it's
by the
like
way, when I see my little girl, I always see you. We're hugging.
Oh.
Cheek to cheek.
Oh,
I know.
Don't make me cry.
Oh, precious.
That's really cute.
Oh my
I know.
goodness. Oh, so sweet. And so see what just happened. We just heard the thing. Instead of thinking about bringing up to our heads like all the fears and going through this could happen, that could happen. What if I can't trust? What if this? What if we're told no again? We've been told no, right? We went to the root of it. What's actually under all of this that needs tending to, that needs holding, that needs healing? And you just did that, and you freed yourself. So now
it makes me literally want to cry.
Yeah.
I have so many emotions right now.
Yeah.
If I was alone, I'd be doing a big, ugly cry for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I want to, and I know we're going through this process, and I'm also kind of saying what we're doing while we're doing it, but this is inner child work. This is parts work, and we can go deeper into what all of that is maybe in another episode, but this is inner child work. This is parts work. This is nervous system work. So as a child, we are built for safety. We need safety and connection from our adults or from wherever we are. We need that. We can't survive with that safety and connection, right? If that is taken away from us, we can't as a child go, oh, they're wrong. Because they're our safety and connection, we have to go, oh, we must be wrong. We need to change something, adjust something in order to be okay. And so I need to be nice and kind and not be seen and stay small in order to be safe and feel connected. And then we move through life with that programming. And so this is deep nervous system work of going, I am safe. It is safe. I'm okay now. I don't need that programming for survival anymore. I don't need to make sure everyone's feelings are okay. So, and stay quiet so everyone's okay anymore to be safe. I'm safe.
Yeah.